Hi. Today's First Chapter Friday book is called Can You See Me by Libby Scott and Rebecca Westcott. Libby Scott is actually a student, an autism advocate in the UK, and Rebecca Westcott is an author but also a teacher. So they have a kind of a unique perspective for this story. So the chapters are fairly short in this book. I'm going to read a couple of chapters. Chapter 1. Look up. Go on, do it now. Stretch back your neck and stare up, up, up as far as you can. And then a little bit more. That's where you're going to have to look if you want to find Tally Olivia Adams. Up where the sky begins. Up where the only rule is gravity. Up where the world seems small and not so important. Up where the possibilities are endless. It is a final days of summer kind of afternoon, kind of like today. Fluffy white clouds are scudding across the pale blue sky, and the air has a hint of something fresh, something new. A normal day on a normal street in the backyard of a normal house belonging to a completely normal family. Read that last sentence again out loud to yourself. It's funny how, if you say it enough times, the word normal sounds anything but. So, a normal day. But the girl standing on the roof of the shed in the backyard is not normal in the slightest. She's a warrior, fierce and brave, surveying the land before her. She's a mountain climber, pausing for breath after scaling the heady heights of Everest. She's a trapeze artist, about to step out onto the wire and dazzle the crowds beneath her. Her right foot rises in the air, shaking slightly as she contemplates the drop. One wrong move and it'll all be over. Hey, get down! The shout makes Tally wobble, and for a split second it seems as if she will tumble to the earth. But then her foot makes contact with the roof, and she lowers herself to the ridge, sitting with her legs dangling out in front of her. You nearly made me fall. Tally glares at Nell accusingly. Are you trying to kill me? Nell puts her hands on her hips. You seem to be doing a good enough job of that by yourself. What are you doing? You know Mom and Dad said you aren't allowed to go up there anymore. Not after last time. Tally shrugs. It's my place. I'm practicing the things I learned in circus school last week, and I can't think anywhere else. It's summer vacation. Nell taps her foot impatiently. There isn't anything to think about, so just get down. Tally wonders if her sister has always been this unimaginative, or if it's something that happens when you start high school. If that's the case, then she's even less eager for this week to be over and September to begin. Is it true that people flush your head down the toilet when you're in sixth grade? She asked Nell. Because if it is, then I won't be able to drink anything all day in case it makes me need to use the bathroom, which means that I will be seriously dehydrated and my brain won't work very effectively, and I'm probably going to fail every single test. And it won't even be my fault because all I'll be trying to do is stay as far away from the school bathrooms as humanly possible. Nell snorts. Only the mouthy kids that don't know when to shut up. A warm breeze flutters through the yard, picking up the leaves that have fallen onto the lawn. They weren't there last week, and their russet red shine against the long green grass is a reminder that the summer can't last forever. Her days at home are numbered. What happens if I get lost? Tally's voice is quiet. Nell pushes her hair out of her eyes and squints up at the roof. Then the two-headed monster that lives in the janitor's closet will find you, she says, as menacingly as she possibly can, and it will drag you in and keep you hostage among the brooms and mops and buckets, and you will have to stay at school for the rest of your life. Tally doesn't even blink. She isn't afraid of made-up monsters. There are far scarier things roaming the school corridors than two-headed beasts. She's very sure of that. Come on, Tally. Nell is impatient now. Get down from there. I'm totally not in the mood for Mom and Dad giving me another lecture about how I should be keeping an eye on you, like you're some kind of baby or something. I'm not a baby, and I didn't ask you to come out here. Tally glares down at Nell. Just go away and pretend you didn't see me. Well, you're lucky it was me that caught you and not them. Nell frowns, imagining the argument that would have followed if her parents had spotted their youngest daughter on top of the shed. Tally shakes her head. She doesn't feel very lucky to have moaning, nagging, boring Nell ruining her thinking time. You'll be grounded for a week if they see you up there, warns Nell. They won't even let you into the backyard if they think they can't trust you. Tally looks away from her big sister and across the fence toward the street. She knows that if she stands up, she can see between the houses and as far as the park. She can see farther than Nell can. Up here, she is weightless and free, the opposite of grounded. "Where are they?" she asks Nell. "Mom and Dad?" Nell glances back toward the house, which is almost hidden by the old apple tree, sagging under the weight of all the unpicked fruit. The entire yard has turned into a jungle this summer. "They're out by the front gate, talking to Mrs. Jessup and her gross dog," she tells Tally. "I don't know how she can take it for walks when it looks like that. It's embarrassing." "It's not Rupert's fault he's got 3 legs." Tally is unimpressed with Nell's attitude. "Don't be so horrible. Think how you'd feel if you had 3 legs. You wouldn't like it if people thought you looked gross, would you?" Nell rolls her eyes. "Whatever. Now get down before they come out here and see you." She waits for a response, but Tally isn't listening. Instead, she's clambering to her feet and balancing on the roof, shading her eyes with one hand as she peers into the distance. "I think there's a fair going on up at the park. There's a load of people and trailers, and I can see a big truck that looks like it has bumper cars on the back." "What?" Nell squints up at Tally. "That can't be right. The fair isn't coming for months. And will you please get down before you fall off and I get the blame?" "I'm not going to fall off, and I can see the fair, actually." "Are you sure?" Nell strains to stand up on her tiptoes and look in the direction of the park, but she can't see a thing. The fair is one of the few things that they both agree is a good thing. It doesn't matter that Nell is 14 and Tally is only 11. When the fair is in town, they're both equally excited. Tally plants her feet more firmly and leans forward, trying to identify the different trucks and vans. "I think I can see the twirler, and there's something that could be part of the carousel. It looks like one of the horses anyway." There's the sound of scrambling beneath her, and suddenly Nell's head pops up from the top of the ladder. "Where? Are you sure it's actually setting up in our park?" Her voice is eager with an added tinge of apprehension. This wouldn't be the first time that Tally has gotten things wrong. "See for yourself." Tally waves her hand toward the distance. "If you don't believe me." There's a moment of hesitation, and then Nell climbs the last few rungs and crawls her way up to the roof where Tally is standing. "I still can't see anything." "I can see the haunted house." Tally looks down at Nell, a huge beaming smile spread across her face. "I really can." It's too much for Nell. She pulls herself to her feet and balances alongside Tally on the ridge of the shed, her hand reaching out and gripping Tally so tightly that the blood throbs and hums in her fingers. "You're right, it is the fair." "I told you." Tally doesn't mind her sister's lack of faith. She knew she was right all along. Together, they watch as the trucks are opened and machinery is pulled out and assembled. It's almost magic the way the ordinary clunky bits of metal fit together to create something brilliant. "I'm sorry I was being stupid about you starting 6th grade, murmurs Nell. "You don't need to worry, Tally. I'll be right there if you need me, and it's not that scary. Nobody's going to flush your head down a toilet, I promise. You'll be fine. School is way less frightening than the haunted house, and you can handle that." Tally doesn't reply, because this is a very ignorant thing for Nell to have said, and sometimes ignorant comments are best ignored. You can't compare the haunted house to Kingswood Academy. It just doesn't work. The haunted house is Tally and Nell's thing, and they always go together. Tally loves the delicious thrill of the spooky music and weird sound effects, and the way that no matter how many times she's been on the ride, she always jumps in her seat when the sinister rattling skeleton lurches out at them toward the end. But most of all, she loves the rules that are written down on the board at the entrance. Do not get out of the vehicle. Keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times. Do not eat or drink on the ride. Tally doesn't usually like rules, especially if they've come from other people, but these rules are different. They feel helpful and they keep her safe. And anyway, the haunted house is just pretend. But Kingswood Academy is real, and she knows that while there are plenty of rules, the ones that really matter are not written down anywhere. "We have to persuade Mom and Dad to let us go to the fair," says Nell, squeezing Tally's hand. "We have to, which means that we can't let them find us up here." And because Tally wants to go to the fair just as much as Nell does, she lets her sister pull her toward the ladder and back to solid ground. Date: Friday, August 29th. Situation: end of summer vacation. How I feel: relaxed but a bit nervous. The summer can't last forever, can it? Anxiety rating: A nice chilled out 3 with a hint of 4 creeping in if I think about starting 6th grade next week. Dear Diary, Tally here. Well, I'm actually Natalia, but my friends call me Tally, and so does my family. Let me tell you about my family. I live with my mom, Jennifer, my dad, Kevin, and my annoying big sister, Nell. She thinks she's always right, and even when she is, I pretend that she isn't. One thing that you should probably know about me early on is that I'm autistic. I have autism. Although autism can sometimes hold me up a little in my life, my parents say it's a superpower, and I like to believe that. The rest of the world hasn't caught up with us yet, though, and some people seem to think that being autistic is like being a different species. Some people treat me like an alien when all I want is to be treated like any other 11-year-old. I'll admit that what also sometimes makes people treat me differently is the fact that I wear a tiger mask a lot of the time. I just feel secure and safe in it. When I'm wearing my mask, I don't have to make eye contact. Why are people so obsessed with this anyway? Or pretend to smile at people. I can't catch germs in it, and people tend to leave me alone when I'm wearing it. What's not to love? Though Nell doesn't love it. She finds it excruciatingly embarrassing when I wear it in public. She even tried to hide it once. The mask is Nell's arch enemy, and I like that evil laugh. Mom gave me this diary so that I can write down how I'm feeling. She says that it might help me to understand my own experience of autism better and how I cope or don't cope in different situations, particularly when I get anxious or scared, which happens a lot, by the way. To be honest, the first time she suggested this to me months back, I point blank refused, but today I've decided to give it a try, though I can't see what good it will really do since I already know all the stuff about myself. I guess I could let my family read this diary one day so they can understand my experience of autism better too. Yeah, that could work. My mom spends her life researching autism online. Whenever I use the family computer after her, there's always some article left open about supporting your autistic child by some autism expert. But she never asks advice from the autism expert she lives with, me. I'm not saying I'm an expert on what it's like for all autistic people, only for me. But that's the point, really. Although autism might be classified as one thing, and some autistic people can have similar traits, no two people will be autistic in exactly the same way. That's why it took years of my mom arguing with people before I was diagnosed. I can do things that people think you can't do when you're autistic. I can socialize when I have to. I can put on my best character when I need to. And I can make eye contact when I force myself to. I have a spectacular sense of humor, if I may say so myself, and don't even get me started on the idea that autistic people can't feel empathy. I'm so full of it at times that it drowns me. Okay, so maybe there are some things I'd like people to know about my autism. Let's call them autism pros and cons. I'm going to write them down as I think of them. Tally's autism facts, sensory stuff. Pro. I have a better memory, sense of smell, eyesight, sense of touch, hearing, and sometimes taste than others might. I told you that autism is a superpower. I can hear a piece of music and play it instantly on my keyboard or ukulele. I can mimic voices, which I sometimes get into trouble for, and I can remember where and when we bought every one of my stuffed animals, and I have over 100 of them. I usually remember to celebrate all of their birthdays too, except that time I forgot Billy's. I was devastated. Con. I can feel even the tiniest of things and it annoys the heck out of me. Seams in socks, a crumb in my shoe, labels in clothes. If we go on vacation and the mattress isn't exactly like my one at home, I can't sleep because of all the lumps. Mom says I'm just like the Princess in the Princess and the Pea story. Having excellent hearing isn't always so great. It makes it impossible to block out other people's conversations, even when I'm all the way upstairs in my bedroom. And when that conversation is mom and dad having an argument about me, then it's even worse, yet also intriguing, I have to admit. But when I let on that I've heard, I get accused of eavesdropping, which is disgraceful, really, considering I can't help it. Chapter 2. It hurts. The words squeeze themselves out through Tally's gritted teeth. I want to take it off now. If you help me, we can get this done really quickly. Mom looks up from her position on the floor. Then we can treat ourselves to a piece of chocolate as a reward. What do you think? Tally's arms stay resolutely folded across her chest. She's not stupid, and she knows as well as Mom does that there's nothing quick about this process. The rest of her new school uniform is draped across the end of her bed. They still have to try on her skirt and sweater, as well as the shoes that Mom ended up buying without her, because, as Tally overheard her saying to Dad, she didn't have the energy to deal with a shoe store meltdown as well as everything else. Not that it would have made any difference if Tally had been with her to try on the shoes. They'd still hurt no matter what. The only shoes that don't make her feet feel trapped and painful are her comfortable old sneakers, and according to Nell, Kingswood Academy doesn't include filthy, disgusting sneakers in their uniform policy. It was totally Nell's own fault that one of those so-called disgusting sneakers ended up bouncing off her head, and Tally still thinks that having her iPad taken away for the evening was an unfair and disproportionate punishment. I wonder, can you just move your arms a little bit? I can't. They're stuck. Mom laughs gently. Well, fortunately for you, I happen to have some magic unsticking potion right here. She dabs a finger at Tally's arm. There, you should be free to move now. Nope. Tally shakes her head. There's no such thing as anti-sticking potion, and my arms are still stuck. There's nothing I can do about it. You're doing so well, soothes Mom, but Tally can hear the strain in her voice. A couple more minutes and we'll be done. I just need to do up the buttons and check that it fits. Tally can feel the stiff fabric against her skin and resists the urge to roar at Mom. It's scratchy and it's making her feel too hot. She cannot imagine, for even 1 second, how anyone can expect her to wear something so inflexible and rigid, nor why she would ever need to. She's starting 6th grade, not going into battle. Unless there's something that they aren't telling her, which wouldn't be surprising because Tally suspects that there are quite a lot of things that her mom and dad talk about when she isn't around to hear them, like what they're going to do about her. She feels like she is the perpetual problem of Tally. Outside the bedroom window, the sky is growing dark. Unlike the first day of summer, the last day of vacation is not crammed with potential. It does not taste of ice cream or smell of cut grass and sunshine. If the first day of summer is all about hope, then the last day is filled with gloom. And it knows it. The rain lashes down against the glass, and if she peers hard enough through the eye holes of the mask that she's wearing, she can see her own reflection gazing back at her, the raindrops on the outside of the window, mimicking the tears that are trickling silently down her cheeks. She sniffs and lifts up her hands to pull the tiger mask down a bit farther. She doesn't want to cry, but it's not like she's chosen the tears. Moving her arms was a mistake. Mom whips into action, pulling the shirt tight and working the buttons into their holes. The fabric tightens around Tally's neck, and for one horrific moment, she thinks that she's forgotten how to drag air into her lungs. The chair clatters backward as she yanks away from Mom's hands. Tally! Mom stands up, her face scrunched and red. Your shirt! She unfurls her fingers, and there in her palm is a pile of buttons. The rest of the shirt lies in a crumpled heap on the floor, next to its equally crumpled owner. I told you that it hurt me. Tally's head is pushed between her knees and her voice is muffled. I told you. Mom takes a long breath and sinks down next to Tally, close but not touching. I know you did, and I should have listened, she says quietly. We're done with trying on your uniform for today. It's over. I don't want to wear it tomorrow. It's horrible and it hurts me, and I won't be able to walk or do my work or eat any food or even breathe if I'm wearing it. Tally hunches closer to her knees, feeling the cool rubber of the mask pressing against her face. I know. Sometimes Mom doesn't have a solution. Tally understands that. Sometimes the only thing that Mom can do is to know. I can fix the buttons, Mom says now quietly. I don't care about the stupid buttons. It'll be easier in the morning. It won't, but sometimes when Tally is particularly tired, it's simpler to pretend. I'm sorry for being such a problem, she whispers, the words so quiet that they barely escape through the mouth of the mask. But Mom hears anyway. Oh, Tally, she says, I'm so sorry I made you feel that way. You are my glorious, fierce, fabulous girl, and I love you to the ends of the earth. Tally looks up at Mom, her eyes shining inside the mask. Wouldn't you change me if you could? Mom smiles and gently shakes her head. I wouldn't dream of changing a single thing about you. You are absolutely perfect exactly the way you are. Tally pauses, scrutinizing Mom's face, checking to make sure there's not even a flicker of doubt, because sometimes Tally thinks that if she was her mom, she might want to swap her for a different daughter. Do you promise? I promise, Mom smiles. Would you like a hug now? Tally nods. Mom shuffles closer and stretches her arm around Tally's shoulders, and they sit quietly for a while until the sound of the front door slamming disturbs the peace. That'll be Nell, says Mom, pushing herself off the floor and putting the buttons down on the bed. Should we go down to the kitchen and get a snack? Maybe some chocolate since it's the last day of vacation? Starting tomorrow, there will be no more going to the park with Mom or watching movies with Nell in the middle of the week. Chocolate might just make that feel a tiny bit better. But instead, she shakes her head from side to side and growls softly. Tigers don't eat chocolate. They're carnivores, and so they mostly eat meat and they hunt their prey. But you can't hunt a bar of chocolate, can you? There's a pause, and it is obvious that inside the mask there's some serious thinking going on. Unless maybe you attached some string to the chocolate and dragged it around the yard, and then I could stalk after it and pounce where the chocolate is least expecting it? Mom makes a snorting sound that sounds suspiciously like a snigger, but ends up as a cough. It sounds like tigers aren't big fans of chocolate. How about a chunk of antelope? I'm fairly sure that tigers like those. Tally stands up and pulls off the mask. I think that actually, she says, stepping over the discarded school shirt, actually some chocolate would be absolutely fine.